The NCAA actually threatened to take Indiana's national championship away for using an ineligible player. It's time for me to jump in here and separate the noise from the reality. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked on Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked on Big Ten. I'm Craig Shemon, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. We're here every day. And you can share, follow, and like. That helps us out too. And hype YouTube videos as well. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moments, putting in the work. Now that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. So is the NCAA really going to take Indiana's national championship away in football? I have a final thought on the Duke-Michigan game this weekend, plus our top 10 Big Ten observations of the weekend. We'll see if my list matches yours. The NCAA threatened to possibly take Indiana's national championship away under the rule of restitution. You ever heard of that? The rule of restitution. As of now, former Hoosier defensive back Lewis Moore's eligibility lawsuit versus the NCAA continues without him. So, well, let's just take a minute. Let's take a step back here and collect ourselves and figure this out. It has been commonplace now throughout college athletics for athletes to sue the NCAA to gain an extra year of eligibility. Some players are playing up to 8 years now. Maybe they were injured. Maybe they lost a rule playing junior college, community college. Nevertheless, there's a lot of lawsuits going on. And in most cases, the players are winning the lawsuits against the NCAA and getting extra playing time in college athletics. The feckless NCAA, they have less and less power each and every day. In the case of Indiana safety Lewis Moore, he went into the 2025 season seeking a 6th year of eligibility. The NCAA said, no, you're done. You've used it all up. Then a series of court rulings, including a temporary injunction specifically handed down by the Texas's 5th Court of Appeals in September. They allowed him to be eligible for the rest of the season, and he played all season long, all 16 games, and in the national championship. Basically, this was the court telling the NCAA, look, you're probably going to lose this case. It's weak, so we're not going to get this done by the time the season's over. We want to avoid irreparable harm to this young man. Let the kid play football. That's what the court said. So now, even though the season is over, the lawsuit's continuing. Like we said, it wasn't going to wrap up before the season ended. So in a legal response to the 5th Court in Texas, the NCAA says that it feels it can seek restitution, quote unquote, if they choose. Trying to grab a little power here. Such actions of them seeking restitution would include vacating Moore's individual performances, his stats, and repealing team wins, including the national championship for playing an ineligible player. Now, we've seen back in yesteryear of NCAA football that if it was deemed that players were ineligible played, games would be forfeited. If there was a academic problem, a kid didn't belong out there, they would back when we actually pretended that these were student athletes, they would punish teams, take the wins away or take the stats away from the player. It's happened before. So Moore played in all 16 games this season, including the national championship for Indiana. Now, what does Indiana have to say about this? A spokesperson from the Indiana athletic department said that Moore was, quote unquote, cleared to play pursuant to a decision made by the courts, unquote. My interpretation of that statement from Indiana is the court is greater than the NCAA. The NCAA can go pound sand. Now, where are we going to hang that national championship banner at Memorial Stadium? Period. case closed. By the way, I agree with Indiana's assessment of the situation. So Moore's moved on. He has actually now used up all of his eligibility. He's going to be at the NFL Combine this week and is looking to pursue a career in the National Football League. And he has thus voluntarily dismissed his trial court action. And that means that the temporary injunction that actually allowed him to play is no longer in effect. Now, the NCAA is looking at that as an open retroactively, and they're going to push forward with this case because it wants a ruling. It wants an appellate ruling on this that says its eligibility rules are legal, the law of the land, and cannot be challenged or overruled under antitrust law. So it's at that point that they dropped this recent memo that said, hey, we still wield power over here, and we may take action against Indiana retroactively. But I don't think the NCAA's goal here is to punish Indiana. It's just a power grab. It's the grabbing at straws that they have left here. The goal here, I think, for the NCAA is just to legally hang on to whatever little power they have. I mean, since the House settlement in the NCAA last summer that set up the rules for revenue share and name, image, and likeness guidelines, all the power got stripped away from the NCAA, whatever power it had. The only power that the NCAA still had, at least we thought, was determining eligibility, but they keep messing that up. And that power is almost non-existent because they've lost so many eligibility cases in court. I don't know what the NCAA does, to be honest with you. I don't know what power they have. I don't see any power that they have. Plus, I'm going to say this loud and clear. If the NCAA, does, here's the other thing, because I want to go back to something else they said, that they could start taking things away retroactively from Indiana, including the national championship. That's just a lie. Or they don't understand what power they don't have. Again, this is the part I want to say loud and clear. The NCAA does not operate the college football playoff. Look, you may be familiar with the NCAA tournament in basketball. They run that. That is one of the last things they still do. And they actually do it well. March Madness, all that. The NCAA is in charge of that. But they are not in charge of the college football playoffs. They're not. So for them to say that they reserve the right to take away postseason wins is simply not true. They can't do it. The college football playoff is run by the conferences of the college football playoff committee. So if the NCAA wants to go to an extreme here and make an example of Indiana and make more ineligible after the fact and think that it has more power than the courts, and they want to retroactively have Indiana vacate wins, the worst they could do, the worst case scenario, they could take away Indiana's 12 regular season wins. But the conference championship win and their 3 playoff wins would stand. The NCAA has no ruling over that whatsoever. So instead of being a 16-0 national champion, Indiana would be a 4-12 national champion. How's that look, NCAA? Good job. So, and once they pull the thread on the Indiana sweater, the whole thing falls apart for all the other players and all the other schools as well. It would be such a hot mess. Who would have a win here? Who would have? It would be unbelievable. They can't do it. I can't do it. So, and if they did still try to do that, I'm pretty sure that would be the end of the NCAA, because all the hundreds of schools would just start their own organized bodies. So we can't deal with the NCAA anymore. There's nothing left. So they should probably do that anyway. Just get out of the NCAA business and go run their own sports themselves. Bottom line here, I don't think Indiana or its fan base should lose a minute of sleep or sweat this out. Indiana's amazing run to the championship will stand forever. It's my opinion. What's yours? Hit me up in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you guys. Be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below, and you'll never miss a single episode. And if you could share, follow, and like, and hype, that would be great too. Thank you. We always appreciate that. You guys are fantastic. Don't forget, we have a website, talkbig10.com. What's there? All of our podcasts go there retroactively. You can go back and check out another one for a second listen after this. Also, you can click on the school logo. For example, if you're an Indiana fan, click on the IU, take you to an Indiana store. Indiana shirts, pennants, hats, T-shirts, all that national championship stuff. All that for every Big Ten school right there with our podcast at talkbig10.com. Invite you to check that out as well. All right, still a lot to get to on a very busy episode. Speaking of Indiana, Curt Cignetti gets another contract again. I have some thoughts on the Michigan-Duke game. I want to talk to Wolverines fans about that. Did you notice UCLA's comeback this weekend? That was impressive. And I'll have my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend, a little surprise for you at the top. And I will tell you how you could join our Everydayer Club, you exclusively. All that is coming up here in just 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten. Workplace chaos. Part of that is if you were in charge, you got to hire people. You got a job opening. That means work's not getting done. Other people are doubling up on work. You got to find somebody. And it's so easy to just get a body in there and they don't meet your needs. So that's where you need Indeed sponsored jobs. That's right. So you could cut to the chase. When the pressure's on you to find the right hire, that's a job for sponsored jobs with Indeed. Indeed sponsored jobs helps you reach the people that actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So they're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post here. And here's an amazing stat. Just in the minute we've been talking about this, companies like yours have hired 27 people from Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. How about that? So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates to check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Take the stress off of you as well. Indeed sponsored jobs. And here's a bonus. Listeners and viewers of this podcast will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Big Ten. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire? Well, that's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Thank you for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten and making us your first listen each and every day. We always appreciate you guys. And thanks for helping us be the #1 sports podcast network out there. You can get Locked On Big Ten ad-free, interruption-free. Join the Everydayer Club. Plus, you get access to members-only Discord, a little chat room we like to have, going back and forth. We're going to do a little trash talking on there. It's fun. You can join at lockedonbig10.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more about it. We're talking about Indiana football, right? Let's talk about Curt Cignetti and the job he's done. Stop me if you've heard this before. Indiana football coach Curt Cignetti got another raise, got another contract. Again, his salary is jumping from $11.6 million to $13.2 million, making him the second highest paid coach in college football behind Georgia's Kirby Smart. Now, this was all pre-planned. By making the semifinal, of course, they went further than that and went and won the national championship. That triggered a clause in his contract that it has to be adjusted with fair market value. He's got to be like among the top 3 coaches' salaries in the country. You know, Lane Kiffin got a sweet deal. Kirby Smart's always up there. Ryan Day's always up there. This follows the deal, his other new deal that he just signed in October. So good timing for him. This is the third time his contract has been revised in the 2 seasons since arriving in Bloomington. You know his initial contract? Do you remember what it was? It was a 6-year, $27 million deal. Then in late 2023, that's less than $5 million a year. It's on the bottom end, right? It's gone 27-2 ever since then and won a national championship. Now he's the second highest paid coach in all of football. Let's talk some basketball now. Saturday, I watched the Michigan-Duke game. We were rooting for Michigan, Big Ten. We like that. It's easy to root against Duke. They had their nationally televised game in Washington, D.C. Saturday night. Michigan's shooting went cool. And both sides played some great defense in that game. Duke's Cameron Boozer came alive late, scored 18 points. Duke wins 68-63. Michigan just made 6 of its 25 3-pointers. They were going, it was going down. It was like one and done. Dribble, shoot 3, miss, go back. It was too much of that. Now, if they had cut down that just half, probably could have won the game. The Wolverines had, of course, just become the number one team in the country. Their 11-game winning streak is now over. Yaxel Lendeborg led the Wolverines with 21 points. Duke out-rebounded Michigan 41-28. You don't see that every day. So here's my big takeaway from this. I thought these teams were pretty even. Again, better shot selection. Michigan doesn't need to be jacking up 25 threes in any game. I mean, cut it down to 18, maybe 15. You'll be perfect. I thought these teams were pretty even throughout. Both were great defensively. And we said before the game, they said during the game, we'll say after the game, very well could be a Final Four preview. Michigan can definitely clean some stuff up that I just mentioned. But if this game were in March, the season would be over. You know, it's lose and go home. But since this was a regular season game in February, Dusty May can use this game as a barometer, clean some stuff up that we're talking about, fix it, move forward. I think a lot of good could come out of this basketball game coming from this loss for the Wolverines. So we'll see. Maybe they'll play again in March or April. We'll see. Also, as long as we're talking college basketball, I know Michigan took a lot of attention with the headlines on Saturday, but we got to talk about UCLA for a minute. So the week before, and we talked about a lot with UCLA the past week, Mick Cronin made some news. They suffered losses to Michigan and Michigan State by a combined 53 points, had the unenviable task of then playing number 10 Illinois, and they fell behind Illinois by 23 points, only to win the game in overtime, 95-94. That's impressive. It's one of the biggest comebacks in school history. Now, as we predicted, going back to some of the noise in the headlines of the past week, Bruins head coach Mick Cronin, he did apologize to Stephen Jamerson II for, he was the kid, his own kid, that he kicked out of the game for what he thought was a hard foul against Michigan State last week. He realized after watching it on film, what we realized, what you realized, it really wasn't that hard of a foul. It wasn't that. I put it on flagrant fouls or tough fouls on a scale 1 to 10. I thought it was a 2. Way overreaction by Mick Cronin and embarrassed the kid. So he said he apologized to him. And he said he's got to be better in post-game comments and all that, which, by the way, he was also chastising a reporter that night following that game as well. He says he's got to be better. He does, and hopefully he will be. Sounds like somebody pulled him aside and said, hey, let's fix this. Now, remember another crazy game from last week we talked about was Iowa's win against Nebraska. And one more element to that story. The story just keeps on giving. You remember that's a game Iowa won. They stormed the court. One of the fans there at Iowa stuck a phone camera in Nebraska head coach Fred Hoiberg's face when he was still in the handshake line. And Hoiberg immediately swatted the phone away. And from the video of the phone, looked like he turned and punched the guy. He didn't. Just knocked the phone away. Iowa issued an apology to Hoiberg for even putting him in that position in the first place. Nobody should be that close to the coach coming off the court like that. But Hoiberg added to the story by saying he actually swatted the phone as a defensive reactionary measure because he has a pacemaker. And apparently a phone in close proximity has a greater than 0% chance of affecting the pacemaker. Did you know this? I did not know this. I didn't even know he had a pacemaker, to be honest. So anyway, also some Minnesota Golden Gophers injury update here, some news here. The Minnesota junior forward Jalen Crocker Johnson's foot injury that has been hobbling him as of late. They're shutting him down. Going to sideline him indefinitely. He's the Gophers' second leading scorer. He's their leading rebounder. He's not going to be back this season. They're going to be ultra conservative on this deal. They were already depleted, though. I mean, they're down to like a 6-man rotation. Although they had a pretty interesting game this weekend, that might make our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend coming up. A little foreshadowing there. No men's basketball tonight around the Big Ten on Monday. Tuesday, tomorrow, we got Washington at Rutgers, Northwestern's at Indiana, Minnesota is at Michigan, and USC is at UCLA. The women are off until Wednesday. If you are new to our podcast, we always close out with a feature at the end that makes us more unique, most unique podcasts out there. at the end of Monday's shows, we always do my top 10 Big Ten observations of the weekend. That's coming up next. Tomorrow, we do Tuesday tweets. Find us on X. Send us something. We'll put it on the podcast tomorrow. Wednesdays, we power rank. Thursdays, we look at Big Ten classics and live action around the Big Ten on Big Ten Network on the weekend. And then Fridays, we go on the line on the record and make our picks, our predictions. So with that in mind, coming up in 1 minute, we'll have my top 10 Big Ten observations from a big, big weekend. All that coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. Mazda moving the game forward. For those who show that there's more to the score than what's on the screen, I want to highlight, I'm going to go out of the box just a little bit, but not too much. Dylan Larkin, former Michigan Wolverine, now a Detroit Red Wing captain, and of course on Team USA, helped Team USA hockey to a gold medal over Canada in the Olympics. He was very instrumental in their 6-0 run. Scored a couple of goals, some penalty killing. He was phenomenal. I want to give him a shout out. Former Big Ten alum out there, USA, getting the gold. Larkin reminds us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It's that extra work off the ice, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, that attitude of I never quit. So we put the same passion into every model at Mazda. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. You ever want to go to an NBA Finals? This is your chance to do it. Do it live and in person. I've been to many NBA Finals. It's awesome. FanDuel is giving you a chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. So here's how it works. So you do your profit boost, right, on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a chance to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. Flights, tickets, the whole deal right there. So if you're looking at that board, you're thinking about which team can make a deep run, it's the perfect time to lock in. We've had a lot of NBA season. You got some knowledge up here, some experience. You watch games. You got a good feel of who's good, who's not, what's going on. Go ahead, jump in there with the NBA futures and visit FanDuel.com and get started to do it right now. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten. It is time now for my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. So we'll put it on screen. If you're audio, Spotify, Apple, wherever, no problem. We're just going to have a list and some logos. We'll tell you what is on screen here. And we'll start it off with, again, my top 10 Big Ten observations for the weekend. Frankly, there were too many things to put on and limit it to 10. So maybe you have a few that are not on the list. You can send me in the comments. That would be great as well. So I want to start it off with Maryland women's basketball. Just putting a 99 spot on the scoreboard over Purdue, 99-66. So that leads our list as we work our way up. I want to stick with women's basketball. Iowa basketball, Ava Hayden, 24 points, 10 rebounds as they beat number 6 Michigan, 62-44. You know, we should also put on this list the Lady Hawkeyes defense. Michigan averages 86 points per game. They held the ladies to 44 points. That was a pretty good effort. That made our list here for coming out of the weekend here on a Monday. All right, what else we got? Michigan State's Carson Cooper with a career-high 20 points and 10 rebounds in the 66-60 win over Ohio State on Sunday. Congratulations there. And also, even though Michigan lost at number 7, Yaxel Lendeborg did have 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. He was kind of, when the game was getting bogged down, he was kind of the only one getting things going in that loss to Duke. Again, I think Michigan can come back. If there's a rematch, I like their chances. I think there are fixable things from that game against Duke, and a low-scoring, close defensive game at that. Want to give a shout out here at number 6 to Minnesota's Cade Tyson. I just told you how short-handed they are. They're down to like 6 players that they can put in a rotation. Tyson made 7 3-pointers in the game in the win versus Rutgers, 80-61. So the 7 3-pointers had 27 points and 10 rebounds in that game. So I wanted to give him a shout out. And also, this is not Pryce Sandford's first run on our top 10 out of Nebraska. Had a career high 33, keeps up in that career high. Made 8 3-pointers. Wow. In the 87-64 win over Penn State over the weekend. Also, number 4, let's give a shout out to Purdue basketball. Their 29-point win over Indiana. Big rivalry game on Friday night. That is their largest margin of victory in that series since 1969. Earlier in the week, they had a tough loss to Michigan where they went kind of toe-to-toe and took it out on Indiana on Friday night. Oregon basketball. Now, in a couple days, we'll do our power rankings for Big Ten basketball, and Oregon will be down toward the bottom. But at USC, they went on a 7-0 run in the final 59 seconds to win that game. Absolutely phenomenal. And bad job by USC for not closing out. That was a good job by Oregon. They made our list over the weekend. UCLA basketball at number 2. After a tough weekend last weekend, down 23 to number 10 Illinois, and it came back to win in overtime. That made the list as well. And here at number 1, going a little bit outside the box, but I'm going to put Team USA Hockey because there were a lot of Big Ten alum on that USA Hockey team that got gold in the Olympics over Canada. Kyle Connor, former Michigan player. Brock Faber came from Minnesota. He's a Gopher. Quinn Hughes is from Michigan. Jackson Lacombe played at Minnesota. Dylan Larkin played at Michigan. Zach Werenski was at Michigan, who I believe had the game-winning assist in overtime. So, yeah, congratulations to all of the former Big Ten alum on Team USA Hockey, gold medal winners in the Olympics. Pretty cool. They all made our list here. Number 1 of our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. What'd you think? Who'd I leave off? Like I said, I think there were too many things to choose from here this past weekend. If you had a favorite, shoot me a comment. That would be great. All right, a couple of things I want to tell you about. Every day, we're here every day. This podcast is free every day. So hit that free subscribe button. That way you'll never miss a single episode because we are here every day. But also, if you want to level it up a little bit and be a member of our Everydayer Club, you can get Locked On Big Ten ad-free on audio and plus be part of our members-only Discord access chat group. So there's all that there. It's $5 a month. Go to lockedonbig10.supercast.com for more information and check it out. We would love to have you there. That'll do it for us. Keeping an eye on all things football, spring football, lots of big-time basketball now that we're rolling into March. It's going to be great. I've got a good feeling about the Big Ten this year, right? Right? Yeah, I think so. We'll talk about it here, and we'll have our Tuesday tweets. Send me something on Twitter, on X right now. We'll get it on the program for tomorrow as well. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Shemon. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.